Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's E-G-G-B-U-R-T, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
And that is the aforementioned duo. Here we are right here. John, I have to tell you, there's a guy that the more I see of him, the more I'm impressed with him. This Mark Maxwell dude at Channel 5. Very thorough reporter. Did you see this thing he did over the weekend on Channel 5? It might have come out last week, where he essentially doing like the Snopes action on the Hazelwood East beatdown. You know what I'm talking about?
I did, and I linked to it on Saturday.
Did you really? Okay. If you don't know the story, supposedly, or I guess they could say, what's the proper journalistic term? Allegedly, the
according to social media reports,
the beater, or not the beatee, in the Hazelwood East thing, put a post up on Facebook about now she's going to join the WWE, okay? And apparently people went, oh my God, I can't believe it. She put this post up after she beat that poor girl up. She's bragging about she's going to join the WWE. And he did the in-depth reporting on that and essentially said bogus. That he said essentially, I think that when the post came up, she was in juvenile detention at the time. And in juvenile detention, they're not allowed, obviously they don't have cell phones with them, and apparently they do have access to some computers. According to the story I read on Channel 5, it said that they do have access to computers, but all these social media sites are locked out. So there's no way in the world she could have done that, and they say it was bogus.
So first of all, Brad, the first giveaway that this post was fake is that it's a Facebook post allegedly from someone under the age of 60. Who under 60 years old is posting stuff to Facebook? Like, does Marnice DeClue have gray hair and take a picture of her boat trailer and say, hey, Kevin, we're going down to the boat today. Tell Edna to bring the cookies.
Hey, I got news for you.
Come on.
The only posts I see on Facebook anymore are from Frederick Roofing. They talk about how...
They talk about the fact that they're not some fly-by-night with an iPhone that says, we'll do your roof for $1. Don't slam the door, please. My life depends on it.
Yeah,
no, what I think Maxwell did that was good is, like, I thought it was a well-done piece. My challenge with this, Brad, is that, hey, I think it's great that Mark Maxwell just debunked a right-wing meme about a young black girl. So will Mark Maxwell also go out and debunk vicious social media rumors about, I don't know, an old white guy? Hopefully. He set a good precedent here, Brad.
Well, maybe I'll go do something today and I'll get arrested.
Boy, hey, by the way, as an aside, I'm ready to bail you out if things go south today, but you know I'm there for you, Brad.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, I have a couple new drops that I got last week. I don't know if you heard this. Let me play the short version first. Okay, can you hear?
I'm ready, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Our sacred airwaves.
Our sacred airwaves. Did you hear that before?
No, I haven't.
Did you hear it, though?
No, I didn't.
You didn't hear it come through your...
It didn't, no.
Okay.
Can you try it again?
Our sacred airwaves.
You didn't hear that?
No.
Okay, here's another one.
Not just they can do that on our airwaves, but that they can do that as one of us, as badge-carrying employees, as paid contributors to our sacred airwaves.
Okay, here, I realize what I did. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Here's the full one.
Not just they can do that on our airwaves, but that they can do that as one of us, as badge-carrying employees, as paid contributors to our sacred airwaves.
Now, did you hear it that time?
Oh, yeah, I did hear that. Now, is that an NBC thing?
Our sacred airwaves.
That is Nicole Wallace going on a rant on NBC or MSNBC, one of the NBC channels, about the Rona McDaniel thing before she was fired. And I'm thinking to myself...
Our sacred airways.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's so crazy about this is, as Tony Colombo would say, let's do the flip test. And let's say everybody on the NBC was like a Trumpian Republican, and they're super conservative, and they hire who would be like the example of someone they hired Jen Psaki. Who just came from the White House, where she's the very visible press secretary doing all the Jen Psaki, the circle back Psaki things. Okay, let's do the flip test. Do you think the Republicans at NBC would go, I can't believe they hired Jen Psaki?
Of course not. No, of course not. It only goes one way, and it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You just have to be 6 degrees from Donald Trump to get canceled.
Crazy stuff. Okay, another story that I thought you'd bring up, maybe that was on your list, but it was not high on your list, was the Bill Eigel video story. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
You don't know about this? Okay, have you seen this video? I'll see if I can find it and send it to you. It's a video. It looks like a great big group of people.
Oh, yeah, this was a big story in the middle of last week. Yeah, several days old. Yes, I know the story you're talking about.
Right, and it's a bunch of people in a. It looks like
it's a popular meme that most of our listeners have heard before. Yeah,
right, and it's been used for other people before. It's like a great big giant screen television. It looks like it's 2 or 3 stories tall, and it's a bunch of people. And it looks like some kind of an auditorium or something like that.
It's a bar. They're at a bar. They're watching a soccer game.
Well, it turns out it's a bar, but it looks like some kind of almost like Fox Theater kind of place, okay, with a stage and the whole bit. So Bill Eigel is on the screen, and he's doing his personal property tax rant the whole bit, and then he gets done, and the crowd goes nuts. So
yeah.
And the interesting thing is that, and essentially, and that was officially done through his campaign. That wasn't like Bill Eigel supporter put that together. Essentially what they did was they, doctored the video and they put Bill Eigel. Now, the interesting thing about it is what the story is, the video is supposedly of like someplace in England where they're watching a soccer match and they score a goal and the crowd goes nuts. But what people have done is they've taken this video and they've essentially edited the screen and put in whatever they want. So there's like a lead up to this whole thing. And, and I declare that we're going to give everybody a free roof from Frederick Roofing. And the crowd goes, ah!
Yeah.
Now,
so I'm just laughing because this whole thing is so silly. Because first of all, the Eigel campaign does a great job with the social media stuff. Like
they really do.
They've done a number of videos that are just super funny. And this is a well-known meme. But what's great about it is, are you up on Ashley Awney?
I'm not.
Okay, she's a Democrat state rep from Kansas City, and she retweeted it on March 27th, and she said, "This is a fake video that deceives voters into thinking a candidate spoke to a room full of excited voters, when in reality it was soccer fans cheering for a match. We just passed a bill out of the House that would make this kind of fake campaigning illegal." So what's great is that, Ashley got hold on, let me scroll down here. Ashley got 227 comments on it, people reminding her. Now it's hard to tell, it's hard to tell intention. I'm sorry for laughing. It's hard to tell intention in a tweet, but I want to believe that Ashley Awney knew that this is a super well-worn meme and other people have done this before, but she comes off looking a little bit like a scold, and her point that this type of doctoring political videos shouldn't be done or whatever, I get the point, but also, as someone who generally seems like she seems to have a really good personality and is actually a fun person, she comes across as a little bit of a scold here. Anybody that takes a Bill Eigel meme tweet and gets frustrated about it, that says something.
Well, let me take one step further, and people don't know about this. Is sort of inside baseball. She wants to control what political people can advertise and things like that for essentially races, correct? That's essentially what she's doing. She wants to essentially say, you can't do that. That's illegal. That's false, stuff like that. Right?
Well, yeah, and I don't think she's saying that. I think that there have been legislative proposals that would forbid the doctoring of videos for clear misinformation.
Okay.
And also the use of, I think it came up most prominently lately. There's a proposal that would restrict the use of AI and deep fakes.
Well, okay, here's an interesting.
But I interrupted you, but go ahead.
Well, here's a sidebar to that, okay? And this was shown, proven years and years ago. as far as broadcast is concerned, when we do political advertising, we have to file all these forms. We have to toe the line. As a matter of fact, there have been stations that haven't done the paperwork properly and literally had their license almost threatened to be revoked, or actually some of their licenses got revoked. We have to dot the I's 3 times and cross the T's 4 times when it comes to political advertising. Now, having said that, we also cannot ever tell a client they can't do something on the air. And if you remember there years and years and years ago, does the name, and matter of fact, you should know this because you're a WashU guy, does the name Barry Commoner ring a bell?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, years ago, Barry Commoner ran for president of the United States, okay? And, hold on, I clear my voice here. Barry Commoner came out with a radio ad where he comes on and he says BS, BS, BS 3 times, but he doesn't use the initials. He says the bull, plum, plum, plum,
wow.
3 times, okay? And that was given to radio stations around the country. He bought that ad. He was running for president, I think on the Green Party. He was a bona fide candidate. The stations had to run the ad. They had to run the ad. The FCC essentially said, you cannot edit content on a political advertiser. If he says that he knows that John Kennedy was shot by space aliens, or if he says he knows that Madonna is really a man in disguise, whatever the crazy thing he says, as a broadcaster, we can't say, I'm sorry, we can't air that ad. You can't refuse it. You have to take it. You can't.
Wow.
You can't do anything about, and to the point where if you refuse an ad, and matter of fact, this has happened. Matter of fact, if you look at our advertising proposals, we've got this great big long disclaimer on our advertising proposal. There's an ad right now running on 97.1 where it's a flooring company, and it's not Frederick Roofing. It's a flooring company, and they have bought a 3rd store, and apparently the 3rd store is owned by hold on a minute, a Mexican gentleman, okay? And during the commercial, the woman who normally does the ad talks, and then she says, we've teamed up with our newest store, and this Mexican dude comes on and speaks in Spanish. We can't do anything about that as well, too. This goes back to a case where a Spanish guy was not running for office, but just was trying to buy some advertising on a radio station that he knew that a lot of Spanish people listened to, but it was a English language station, and he was refused because the owner of the station said, I don't want any Spanish people speaking on my radio station. So we now have to run a disclaimer on all our advertising proposals, required by the FCC, that states that will not discriminate advertising on any basis, race, color, creed, or language. So in other words,
that's nice.
If somebody shows up here at the radio station and says, I want to run an ad in Yiddish or Swahili or German or French or Spanish, we have to say, okay, fine, even though the chances of that ad really doing any good, because once again, we're not in an ethnically dense area where, like in El Paso or something like that, where probably half the people listening know Spanish, both the people who have come across the border, as well as the people who live here, who are actually immigrated or naturalized American citizens. And not only that, you go into some of the southern states, the southwestern states, a lot of people who are 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th generation American can speak Spanish, because that's part of doing business in that area, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Now, first of all, this is a good time to point out that Marnice Gaines spoke multiple languages, Brad, the girl at the center of the Hazelwood East thing. So let's show our proper deference to the multilingual. Secondly, in my hands, I hold one of my favorite college textbooks, Brad. And does this qualify? This book is called Black Street Speech. I took a class in Black Language and Culture at WashU, not to brag, but I got an A in it. And could I get an ad and speak Black Street Speech, or would you reject it, Brad?
No, can't reject it for any reason like that.
Well, good.
But
now,
see,
maybe some of those Francis Howell candidates in 2025, once our station has been around for more than 10 minutes, could buy an ad for $2 next year and put it in Spanish, Brad. We could just check all the boxes: multilingual, $2 ad. Everybody would be happy.
Well, now here's what you do if you're going to run an ad on Keishi. Okay, what you do is, if you're going to run a political ad on Keishi, you run the copy backwards.
Oh, yeah, because, all the devil worshippers. Brad, that if you play Another One Bites the Dust backwards, the chorus says it's fun to smoke marijuana.
Turn Me On, Dead Man. You know what that's from?
Yeah, that was the end of. Is it the Beatles thing?
Yes, he ran.
God, I can't stand the Beatles, but I'm familiar. And isn't it something like Paul's Dead or something like that?
And if you run one of their songs backward, it says "Turn Me On, Dead Man," which was the whole Paul is dead, controversy that Paul was really killed, and there was like a Weekend at Bernie's kind of thing where they just keep propping him up and go, "Hey, Paul!"
Oh yeah. Well, and we all know Yoko Ono was really the one that killed everything to do with the Beatles, though, right?
Don't get me going on that. Poor Yoko Ono. There's a perfect example. I won't go there. Okay, so we've talked about that. Now, one other thing that I found interesting about this is I lost my train of thought. You pick it up.
Bill Eigel scored a goal in a European soccer match, and the fans went nuts.
Oh, now, by the way, going back to the Bill Eigel thing, I texted him last week and said, Bill, I know there's this big controversy with your ad. He didn't call me back. I think I left a voicemail, too. He didn't call me back or anything like that.
Here's one more funny thing about this. If I'm Ashley Awney and I see a tweet from Bill, I think, is it worth trying to dunk on Bill Eigel, or do we just let it go? You know what I mean? And she has nothing to lose. She's going to get reelected as long as she's going to be, by the way, the next House minority leader. She might not even be a super minority leader. She might be the House Dem minority leader next year. And I just think maybe we let a Bill Eigel tweet slide. We exercise a little impulse control. We get off the Twitter machine and we say Bill Eigel's going to be Bill Eigel.
Now, I'll give you a story that I know wasn't on John Combest's thing. You think we have problems here in the United States, okay? You think we have problems here. I want to read you a story that you're not going to believe. You're going to go, I don't believe what you're saying, Brad. Let me do accept cookies. I got to accept all. Okay, this is a true story. This is a guy who is a comedian, and he's in England. His name is Ed Gamble, okay? And he is doing a comedy tour in England. And in England, obviously, a lot of people ride the subway, what they call the tube, which is the underground, the underground, like in New York, it's underground, but they call it the tube, okay? And that is one of the very, 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 very popular methods of transportation around and through London, correct?
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
And they do a lot of what they call transit advertising. When you go into, if you've ever been on Metrolink, you see the ads in like Metrolink and things like that. You see the ads that are posted at the Metrolink stations and things like that. They do the same thing in England. They have the ads inside the trains, and they have the ads inside the train stations and things like that. His ad was banned because of the fact that it shows him, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Eating a hot dog. Okay.
Like, was he treating it like a phallus? Or what was he doing?
No, it has to do with his comedy routine. And matter of fact, it has to do. I can't remember exactly what it talks about. And the thing is, it shows a picture of him, and he's got a white T-shirt on, and he's got mustard and ketchup stains on his T-shirt, and it says "Hot Diggity Dog," and at the bottom it says "Stand-up tour, London residency," and it lists all the places he's going to be at. It lists the dates and the times and stuff like that. And they essentially, the billboards was sent to TfL. This is the London Underground company, or the authority that approves all billboards, and they were rejected because it failed to comply with the organization's advertising policy on junk foods. So,
oh yeah,
because
I see. That makes sense.
They can't advertise what they can't. They can't advertise anything like McDonald's or anything like that, which they have in London.
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's because it's a ban on junk foods. Because, once again, why is it a ban on junk foods? Because of the fact that it's the guy who is the head dude, the mayor of London, who is on this health kick where he wants to close down McDonald's and stuff like that. So now it's interesting. So they redid these posters. And instead of him holding a hot dog and eating it, they just photoshopped in, he's now eating a cucumber.
Oh, that's great. That's much healthier, yeah.
And he says the new posters promote something way more harmful: the idea that cucumbers pair well with ketchup and mustard. Because the new revised posters still have ketchup and mustard smeared down his white T-shirt, but it's sort of weird because he's eating a cucumber. Now,
yeah.
And it's pretty funny. He says he described the incident as, quote, a career highlight, and said, TFL told me I couldn't have a hot dog in my poster to promote my Hackney Empire shows in June. And he's coming up in June. Now, get this. A spokesman for TFL said, we welcome all advertising on our network that complies with our published guidance. Following a review of the advert, we advised that elements would need to be removed or obscured to ensure it complied with our policy. A revised advert is now running on the network, and we will always be happy to work with people to ensure adverts follow our policy. It goes on to say, the ban on junk food advertising across London's public transport network came into force in 2019. Regulations prohibit posters for food and drink high in fat, salt, and sugar on the underground and overground, as well as buses and bus shelters. London Mayor Sadiq Khan said the rules would help tackle child obesity rates in the capital. Organization uses a model developed by the Food Standards Agency, FSA, to define foods high in fat, sugar, and salt. So you think we got problems in the United States? You can't even have a picture of a guy munching on a hot dog in England. How's that?
I'm sure health outcomes have improved dramatically because of that ban.
Exactly.
They saved lives by banning that.
I bet they did. Okay, we have to take a break.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?